You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Hello and welcome back to My Wheelhouse. It is December 11th. We're right about the first trimester end of the NBA season, closing in on 30 games. Plenty of sample size games to look forward to. We're getting into the heat of the college basketball season. We got a lot to delve into. Joining me again, Mike and Sloan. What's going on, gentlemen?
Good to see you, Shay. Good night in sports tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
Which one are you going to watch first? You're going to watch the Celtics or the Patriots or
Celtics?
You do Celtics.
Obviously, I love the Patriots and I'm going to support them over any other NFL team. But if I would people are going to crucify me for this. Yeah, but I would rather watch the 76ers and the Patriots. I would rather watch the Timberwolves and the Oklahoma City Thunder than the Patriots. Even though that these, I think there's 15 teams that I'd rather watch the Patriots.
I'm going to a beer dinner, so whatever they have on, I'll be watching. So it's probably going to be the Patriots.
I judge it by which one I'm least likely to see the score flash on the bottom of the other game.
So Patriots.
I saw a tape on.
So the Patriots.
Actually, the Celtics on Nesson, they're not going to.
They don't say anything about the Patriots?
They would come at a commercial in between, and they might talk, but they're not going to tell.
That's true. Because on ESPN.
But who's on ESPN?
Monday Night Football.
Yeah, well, they're definitely showing it.
That's true.
They're definitely showing the Celtics. So I'll probably watch the Celtics first. Well, Denise likes to watch the
Celtics are close to being the second most popular Boston franchise.
Yeah.
But they'll never be the Pats.
No, that's okay. My personal preference is Celtics. And we are playing the Bulls, which we'll talk about, are an exciting team.
I want to talk about that. You want to talk about that first?
No, we'll talk about that later.
Okay. I have some. I was going to give you and Sloan some credit,
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Before we start, you got to take that off.
Wow, it's a big day, I hear.
Yeah, it's a big day because Sloan gets his very first medal championship.
Wow.
Hey, I called it too.
13. Hey, it goes nice with your shirt. I'd wear it tonight at work.
You got 13 to 17 correct, so it wasn't even just like a fluke win.
13 and 4, that's
It was a
big.
dominating win. It was big. You started off good. You were 6 in a row to start off.
I thought yesterday I did good, no?
And he did much better.
I had to abandon the strategy of doing fluky, crazy picks, just trying to catch up with you guys in the season.
Just think about it.
Okay, well, you're a long way to catch up.
Hey, I called it though last week. I said I was going to win.
I feel like you say you're going to win multiple weeks.
No, this is the first time I've actually said I'm winning.
It's been 9 weeks long.
Yeah.
It's all right.
You guys still got a while to catch up. Let's get to the wheel, see how we do.
We're going to enjoy this.
On the wheel, I hope. There's a lot of good ones on the wheel. Let's see who we get.
We got a trade to
talk
talk about.
We're going to have a double on the first spin.
This was a very spinny wheel today. There's a segment that you guys have no clue what it is. I'm very...
it's spinning back.
We're just going to
wow, the wheel is
What's going on here?
Mind of its own. College hoops. I like the spin back. Why not? College hoops.
All the way back.
I didn't watch a ton of college hoops this week. I saw a little bit of the Arizona versus Alabama game where Colin Sexton really continues to separate himself among this next tier of players. He's clearly after those top 5, and a lot of people even have him rising in over sometimes Mo Bamba. I think he's right around he is. He's getting a lot of reputation there as a player that can get his own shot whenever he wants. And we talked about him a little bit last week when he went 3-on-5 against Minnesota. But he's been very impressive, and I think I have him on the draft. I still have Mo Bamba.
What size? How big is he? How tall?
6'3", 6'6".
Okay, that's big enough.
Yeah.
And I like how he challenged Ayton so many times, where he took it right into the teeth of
aggressive.
Ayton.
He's aggressive.
He's a bull. I don't see him much as a facilitator as the announcers would call, and as far as distributing the ball, I didn't really see that much of him. And he's got a weird shot with his feet.
His shot is a little funky, but he's a good shooter.
Percentage-wise,
is good. And his release is nice. Yeah. And it's just he does have something weird going on with his feet. I'm not sure how to handle it. But if you go back, and it can be hard, if you go back and you watch some of his highlight and film from earlier tape from his college days and All-Star Game type of those sponsored type events, he really goes off as a passer in those, and that's where he built a lot of his his respect as a player was his passing.
Year, and they said that he could have been a top 10 pick last year.
Yeah, he almost did what Bagley's doing this year.
I get to see him. Well, a lot of guys. I kind of got to the point now.
He's awesome. He's one of the most fun players to watch.
I need to see guys quite a bit before I really make a judgment on them. And one time wasn't enough for me to really tell whether he's as good as Fox or not as good, as quick as Fox, maybe not as quick as Fox.
That's a good benchmark to try to compare him to because of what we have.
Body type.
Yeah, I think Sexton's a little bit stronger. Fox is a tiny bit faster, but Sexton is right there. He's speedy. He's quick. I think that Fox doesn't have as much of a versatile game in terms of his shot and where it stretches on the floor, and in terms of how creative he is with both his handle and his ability to create for teammates. And defensively, I think they're right neck and neck. If you were comparing them from last year to this year, I think Fox would still be a little bit above them, but that's a good benchmark to put him at. Have you seen any Sexton at all?
Not much Sexton. I just want to talk about BC beat Duke.
Yes. And also,
BC beat Duke.
why Shea's not on the, there were two of them in the same day. It was BC over Duke, which was awesome.
We were kind of poo-pooing that game last week. And then
UMass over Providence was awesome too, Shea.
Pretty cool.
I didn't watch UMass.
Well, it was a new coach.
Good job.
But let's talk about BC. BC was a pretty cool game.
Couple of huge shots towards the end of that game. Couple of big clutch shots. Those kids looked like they weren't scared at all.
And that what's his name on the point guard I got it here.
I didn't watch the game. How did Bagley play?
It's Key Bowman.
Not well. They didn't have very good defense.
Kai Bowman. He was 30, 10, and 9. And what I found about that game, I think it really exposed Duke. Although Krzyzewski says they hit an amazing amount of threes. I mean, as a team, I think they were 58 to 60% by threes, taking a lot of threes. But they came out playing so much harder than Duke. And they weren't. I mean, that Bauman, he's not as talented as Duke's guys, but he was the best player on the floor.
What do you think about Duval?
Duke's guy?
Yeah.
I didn't really even notice him.
Yeah, that's true.
I think defensively they just have so many holes, and they do rely on pure talent, and they didn't just play more as a team. And I think that goes back to the coach a little bit.
Right, and defensively is part of it. What they do is they play with those two bigs, and yet Boston College they were getting guys in pick and rolls, forcing them to switch and then shooting the three off them. And Krzyzewski really never adjusted. He kept playing the two bigs the whole game, and they couldn't really cover the perimeter on him, and they were killing it from the three-point line.
I didn't watch the game. How did Bagley look?
He had 15 points. He looked not ordinary. He looked very good, but he didn't dominate the game.
A little bit out of sorts.
And I think one problem they got with that team is when they pick a go-to guy, they're going with Allen. Allen was 1 for 9 for 3.
Did he get punched in the face or something? Why is
he got stepped on? Oh. He got stepped on. He was stepped on in the face.
That's a good amount of karma.
That's called karma.
When he got off the floor, it was already black and blue. I was going, Denise, what's with that? Denise is going, that just happened. It was like somebody stepped on his face and a rebound was on the floor. But he's really failing as a go-to guy on that team, and that's a problem for them. They should be going to Bagley. They should be going to the other freshmen.
They got a lot of problems. So in the AP, they dropped from 1 to 4.
So who overtook him?
Villanova's at number 1.
I like Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges looks great.
Villanova looks polished.
Mikal Bridges is rising. He was probably around the 20 mark in terms of where he was projected to go in the draft, and lots of people are rising him up to 7 or 8, as high as a 7 or 8 in the draft boards. And he looks really versatile. It looks like his defense has come along. Players commentators and writers are making very high and lofty comparisons. Some people say he looks similar to Kawhi Leonard right now in terms of his, obviously that's crazy to say, but
always is.
In terms of his projection and stuff, he's getting those lofty comparisons, so there's something to watch there. I haven't seen a lot of them, but he looks good and promising. And
then when the game ended in that game, I'm sitting there, I'm watching it with my wife Denise, and I'm going, Denise, are they going to storm the court? And she's going, no, they're not supposed to. They got security. I said, they're going to storm the court. And they just, it was great. It was just party time down there with people going crazy. They had to do a security, I had to surround Grayson Allen. I guess they were worried that if anything was going to happen with anybody, it was going to be Grayson Allen leaving the court. So they surrounded him so he could get out of there. But the UMass game was also awesome. They looked pretty good, Shea. And they've got
I like that big guy. The big guy's fun.
There's another big guy. They're playing two big guys. They got this guy, Mekhi Hines.
Yep.
He's 6'10".
Yep.
So they were playing the 6'10" and 6'11" out there, and then this Luwane Pipkins goes for 30.
How did Unique McLean play?
He didn't do anything special.
He has the coolest name.
I don't know.
His first name is Unique.
Luwane Pipkins, Unique. Okay.
His name is Unique McLean. Like that's the coolest name of all time.
That's pretty. I mean, I have a unique name, but that's a pretty unique name.
Yeah. That's mellow, you know. I mean, it's like it's cool, you know. Unique is that's a unique game. But they were good, and the new coach. He looks like a kind of a pencil neck geek type guy that's a real young kind of a kid coaching a team. But he had the players plugged in. And one thing I noticed that was different is that when the players came out of the game, he had like these secret handshakes for the guys when they came off, which was crazy. The coach is doing these double fist pumps like this and high five, low five and stuff when he's coming off. A big victory for UMass. Big victory to take down Providence.
What'd you see from Ayton, and then we'll move on to the next.
I thought Ayton, I saw him twice, and because I hadn't seen him last week. And first game I saw, Walton did the game.
Yep, he's great. How fun is he to listen to?
I don't know whether he's great. I love the guy, but as he gets older, I think he's got some a little bit of senile creeping
But that's
in there.
okay because
He's
the
been
majority.
senile for 20
They
years.
talked about him tripping at Ellis. They talked about he's getting on the other announcer for killing his grandkids by supporting Cole.
Yeah, the ability for him to go on tangents to distract you from the level of play that's on the court is fantastic.
But what he did, his analysis was.
And when he gives analysis.
And he gave an analysis. His analysis is so far over the top that's ridiculous. So it's like he'll go, a guy will hit a 5-foot jump shot, and he'll go, "Oh my God! Did you see the footwork on that play?"
He really makes you pay attention to stuff.
That was nothing. Come on.
It wasn't
But
nothing.
He called Shaq real early, and I think I talked about it before. When Shaq was at LSU, Walton went down and worked him out. And when Walton got done working him out, and back then, I used to get the Basketball Times once a week. I never saw O'Neal play, and I wasn't going to see O'Neal play from LSU. I just heard about him and saw his picture. But Walton came out of that working him out and said, he can play me right now. And like you guys said before, maybe Walton was 35 or 38. I don't know what he was, but he is all over Ayton. And he said he went extreme like he does. Ayton is the best freshman, the freshman that most resembles Shaq to come into college basketball since O'Neal.
People are saying David Robinson and stuff like that.
Bagley obviously is more like David Robinson than.
No, Ayton's more of a beefcake than Bagley is. Bagley's more suave.
But Robinson was pretty sleek when he was at.
No, he's like the most chiseled player of all time.
Well, nobody was
sleek. Yeah, he was
jacked.
jacked.
But I mean, he was thinner and trimmer, and he was also left-handed. And he, anyways, Ayton was very good. He's got incredible footwork. His feet really work. He had 30 in the game.
He's a force.
He looks like, to me, of the three, and again, like I said, I got to see these guys a lot before I can really tell you him, Bomber, and Bagley. But of the three right now, I would go with Ayton.
I got Ayton first.
I think so. The one thing I saw negative about him, he plays a lot of defense with his hands down. And his hands are down, so he's not attacking shots the same way Bomber attacks shots. Bomber attacks shots.
Bomber has a ceiling of the defensive
His
player
hands aren't up when he goes to rebound. I'm surprised Walton wasn't on this stuff, because Walton's hands were always up when he went for rebound. His hands are down a lot, so he's not as powerful as he could be on defense.
It's interesting.
Runs well.
He looks like it's not necessarily lackadaisical, but like he looks like out of sorts and maybe just out of position on defense. And I can't tell if it's just because it doesn't happen, or whether maybe Sean Miller is telling him not to help D as strong as you would normally just instinctively, but he keeps to his own player more than you would assume a center would with the shot and rim protection potential that he has. He doesn't help D that much. He doesn't come out of position to really help other teammates as much.
IQ is low.
Yes, I agree with that, but I'm not sure if it's because of situation.
And he just
I'm not
hasn't
sure
been
if it's because of
exposed to it.
situation.
He hasn't been educated defensively, so a lot of times he's hanging out, and he really doesn't know where to go.
No,
he doesn't
I agree.
understand where the help position is, or that he should be. The thing I didn't like is the way he didn't attack shots, but he was awesome, and he really was good.
Nope.
He hit outside shots.
Yeah, he can.
And it looks like a beautiful rotation on his shot. It's a jump shot, and you don't see a lot of big guys don't get elevation on his jump shot. He got nice elevation on his jump shot.
He does. I like him a lot.
But that picture you sent me of Mo Bamba was pretty cool.
Yeah, the dunk where he has the ball up on the top of the backboard.
The top of the backboard on a drive down the middle.
Yeah, he's got such wingspan.
Yeah, it's like
and he's got so much. His instinct down by the hoop is just
defensively
amazing.
And stuff.
Yeah, he's a future DPOY.
Yeah,
possibly.
I think so. Yeah,
I think so.
Now they're getting a lot of good reports on Doncic out there coming.
He's still the number one overall prospect. I have him above 8.
You still got Porter from Missouri, right?
Yeah, I have him in the tier behind Bagley and Ayton.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking of top 5 picks. You got unbelievable talent there in the top 5.
It's a top 5 draft.
Really players that can play right away. And refresh me on the Celtics. Like Brooklyn's playing a lot better, and we can talk about Brooklyn better because more later.
They're playing good.
But they're not going to finish in the bottom 5. So there was a stroke of genius by Ainge to get rid of that pick because doesn't have value anymore. The Lakers, they need to finish in the top 5.
2 to 5.
They finished 2 to 5.
2 to 5.
In their record during the season, or when the ping pong ball set.
When the ping pong ball set.
When the ping pong ball set. Okay.
Yeah. So.
So that's a long way to go, and that could happen even if they had the 8th worst record in the league. They could, right?
Right, but right now I think they're like somewhere at like 7. I think. No, No,
There's a lot of teams.
They're currently at 8, and they're behind the Clippers, they're behind Phoenix, and they're behind Memphis.
They're hanging in there with Utah.
So something that I could see happening is that once Memphis gets Mike Conley back, they're not going to make the playoffs, but they're going to putter towards closer to the 10 seed rather than right now. They're like 8 and like 15 or 16. So they're going to putter out of that range. The Clippers, if they can get even though Blake's a while out, they're going to get Teodosic back, and maybe once they get the gears cranking a little bit more, that they're going to probably rise up a tiny bit, but that's not a playoff team. So I'm seeing them, the Lakers, and I've said this several times, the Lakers are going to be right there. I think the Lakers are the 6th worst team in the league. They're behind the Chicago, Atlanta, Dallas, Sacramento, and Phoenix tier, but they're the very next team right there. And so it's going to be really interesting whether or not we get that pick.
They remain a fun team to watch. And the 76ers-Laker game was another really good game. And you had some of the best young players on the planet were all playing in that game. You had Simmons and Embiid and Saric, who's not very old either. And then you had Ingram and Ball and Kuzma and Randall. Mm-hmm. That was a lot on display in that game. And Ingram looks really good.
He's adding more and more consistent games where he looks more confident and the shots are falling. Big issue with him before is like shots just weren't falling. He was getting to his spots and there's still things that make you nervous, but he is starting to look better. One thing on Bill Walton, and then we'll spin the wheel. He had must have been a 2.5-minute soliloquy about Bridges when he was watching Michigan State. I don't know if you listened to this. Oh my God, it was fantastic. So he started off talking about Miles Bridges. He transitioned talking about Mikal Bridges, and then he moved on to talk about actual physical bridges over water. And he talked about the bridge that he most recently drove on. And then he said, because I think they were in Oregon, he said they have they have the longest bridge that isn't drivable, and he rode over on a bike yesterday. And he was just going off about how awesome bridges, and it's like how interesting of a concept, something that connects two bodies of land that you otherwise would not be able to travel to. He was going off, and I was loving it. He's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's the type of content.
See how some people don't like.
Oh no, how do you not
want
want
so
that?
different. I mean, I've always loved Walton. So
He's down with the pros, that's for sure.
That's true. All right, let's get to the wheel.
Another thing is, Kansas lost 2 favorite games.
They could've won
so they dropped from 2 to 13.
2 to 13. Oh, they lost 2 games.
And then Bobby Hurley's program.
Yep. That was a nice.
ASU, Arizona State, they rose from 16 to 5.
Arizona State
crazy.
to 5. Bobby Hurley.
Yeah, shout out James Harden.
Lists.
All right, lists. I have like 30 lists, so I'll talk about whatever list you want to talk about. Mike said something about passers.
I only worked on one. I worked on passers.
You got anything to do with passers?
I got all the ones that you gave me last week.
I don't know if I gave you passers.
I got all
but
sorts of fire.
We can talk about passers.
Yeah, I got passers.
Can I do a little groundwork on it first?
Go whatever you want.
You know how we always talk about how we interpret what the list should be. And a couple times, the day, like when we used to just talk without being on the show, you kind of not see each other for a while and you forget about what you said that was either stupid or dumb or not right. And
every week.
And the other thing is, being my age or being your age, the game has changed. And sometimes I'm not aware of how the game has changed. I see the passing has really changed. And that what I look at as great passers are passes that created the opportunities with the pass. You're not really seeing that no more. What you see now is guys that are creating the opportunity with a dribble and then they're passing. So that when I look at, I think so. So when I look at Ernie D or Bob Cousy or even Pete Maravich
I watched Pistol Pete All-Star Game, 1977 All-Star Game. Yep. So you remember that highlight in the beginning of the season where Milos threw that one-handed underhand pass full court? Pete Maravich had 4 of those passes in the first half of that game.
So that when I'm thinking passing, I'm thinking about those guys. And that's why when I look at Ball, I say, well, Ball is the reincarnation of that, but that's not how they might think of it. Harden's he's making things happen with the dribble first, then he's making the pass off it, and it's not as impressive to me, although it's
But that's how this day and age is. That's how this NFL,
that's what I'm saying.
That's how this NBA is, because of the run and
gun,
the pace. That's why you don't have that much post up or that much post passing.
And I don't know whether it happened before Calipari, but Calipari with the dribble drive. So he brought the dribble. Before it was move the ball with a pass and find your offense by finding the open end with a pass, the quick passes. And then Calipari brought in, we're going to do it. He's got so many horses out there and guys that can handle. We're doing it off dribble penetration. So we're constantly looking to dribble penetrate. And I think that changed the game. And now it's evolved to that point. So as I look at passes, I'm kind of caught in between that. And I'll admit that the game has changed. So for me to say that Harden's not a good passer or James is not a good passer, that's not really, I understand.
That's not really correct.
So, but at the same time, a lot of these players that
so James made on the current made number 4.
James Harden?
No.
LeBron James.
LeBron James, okay.
He's my 3.
He's my number 1.
You won't like my list. You won't like my list. Right?
So
I know.
We should all list our
in
list.
terms, we will. In terms of what you're saying for passer ability or like creativity being less significant if you dribble before you pass the ball.
And in my generation going forward for a long time,
Yep.
that the opportunity, the offensive opportunity was made with the pass.
Okay.
Now the pass is secondary to the dribble. The
Yes,
dribble
but- okay.
comes first and then the pass.
Okay, so-
and that changes everything. Because
Yes, but I think
you're
it
not
changes-
finding the open man the same way anymore.
No, but I think that the level of difficulty with the passes and the level of impressiveness with the actual passes that are being made is just that there were before in this time period that you're talking about, if not even higher. The angles are different. The passing, the parameters and the geometry of the
Okay.
spacing of the floor
I
is
can
something
see
that
that.
is
I
something
can see
that
that
is a higher quality passes are more prevalent because of the off the dribble where you're driving into the defense, you're drawing defenders, you have 2 to 3 people on you, and somehow you find a person in the opposite corner. And that ability to make those passes with both hands through traffic, bounce pass, behind the back passes, whatever it may be, is just as impressive as you're on the top of the key and you're finding people off of cuts. And I think it's an inclusion of all of it. So I included everything.
People are a lot bigger and faster, too.
Yes,
I'll
so,
take it a step further, and
defenders
just
are
to
better.
try to explain myself a little bit more, and it is that the pass, there's a wow factor to the pass for me, and the wow factor is quick, in your hands, and it goes to somebody. That gives me the wow factor.
So
When
Chris
it
Paul ranked
moves
high
to
for
you,
you.
and you right away, you already know who you're passing to before you catch the ball.
So Chris
That's
Paul
not
ranks
happening
Chris
right
Paul
now.
ranks high for you then.
Yes.
He ranks very hard
Yes.
because
He's my number
because
1.
I'm still overlapping.
Because he's
Yes.
the type of passer you're talking about
Yes.
before, where he initiates the offense
Yes.
before dribbling
And
with a
I'm
pass.
finding that a
That's
better
fine.
pass.
He's number 2. He's my number 2 passer. He's my number 2 passer.
Okay.
So that's that type of passer.
And I find Tony Parker the same type of passer.
Yeah, he didn't make my top 10, but he is a good passer. He's a good
Tony
passer.
Parker
All right,
was
so
right there
so
with
how
Paul.
about you run down your 10, then I'll say mine, and Sloan will say his.
Well, I got Chris Paul, and then I got Tony Parker. I got Rajon Rondo.
Yeah, he's number-
You see how many assists he had the other night?
18.
He's pretty decent. And then I got LeBron. I'm going with Simmons. I really like Simmons a lot. I think he's a really good. And you're not
Absolutely.
gonna. And then I go with Harden.
His lists are very
I like
similar.
Schroeder because
No,
I
my
just
God.
do. Okay, you guys can dump on me, and I understand. Now I'm getting down to the bottom of it. I like Malcolm Brogdon. I like McConnell from Philadelphia. I'm reaching
okay,
now. I understand.
that's
okay.
I
Yes,
like
it's worth the
JJ
reach.
Barea. I like then I go with guys that didn't make the top 10 that are right there is Westbrook, and he's a typical guy that I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
he's exactly-
That's doing it off the dribble.
Yep.
And then Collison I like.
Okay.
And then Ball.
Okay.
All right. Now I know I got a couple guys on there, and I will agree with Schroeder. I was very borderline with
So
him.
I think you can make an argument for the people that are borderline there, like Collison and Barea and McConnell, because those are high IQ passers, and
Right.
they fit that play style, like the Chris Paul type of passer.
Right,
who
so
initiates
I'm
that-
evolving.
and that's okay. That you can have that. I'm not going to have them on my list. But when you say Schroeder and Brogdon, I don't even think they have the skill as a passer as
Brogdon
any.
does.
No, they're not even in the
I'll
same
reevaluate
universe.
Schroeder.
They're not even in the
Brogdon
same
does.
universe.
I watched
They're not in the
Brogdon
same
play
universe.
100 games.
That's okay.
But I also watched Chris Dunn play 100 games, and we'll talk about him.
We will.
Looks like I'm wrong about that.
All right, so I have LeBron as the best passer in the league currently. I have Chris Paul 2, Harden 3, John Wall 4, Ben Simmons 5, Jokic 6, Milos 7, who's probably going to rise once I see more games. But just because we don't have a good sample base out of him, I have him 7. I have Westbrook 8, Lonzo 9, and Rajon Rondo 10.
Quite similar lists.
You would imagine so.
Yeah, I mean, I have Chris Paul as well, number 1. I have John Wall, LeBron James, Ben Simmons at 4, which is high praise, ahead of Rajon Rondo.
Very reasonable praise. Mike has him 5, I have him 5.
Yeah, he's just amazing.
Yeah.
Or a first-year guy.
So, he's seeing
smart.
the pass.
I got Rubio up there. I've got Al Horford because, as you know, I am a huge fan of Al creating offense
Reasonable.
for the Celtics.
He's so vanilla, though.
That's okay.
I know it is.
James Harden,
Yep.
Westbrook, and then I stuck Kyrie in there because he's
He's improved as a passer a
I'm
lot.
glad
He has
you guys picked
improved
post players because
very much.
there's a certain flair to the post
yeah.
passing.
I've got an honorary mention for Jokic as well.
I think
Did you see that pass by the
Boban Marjanovic, yes, the behind the back pass where he's double teamed.
Wasn't that awesome?
That was beautiful. So that's
I
the
mean,
type.
that was talent and skill with that pass.
Yes,
boy.
that's
That
the
was
type of
beautiful.
pass that
Why
Jokic-
doesn't he play more?
He doesn't have the motor. He doesn't have the IQ. He has the ability.
I don't know if it's
but
motor or endurance.
Maybe he's so big.
Same
that-
difference?
Or is it that they've got Drummond?
No,
Would he play more somewhere else?
No, he wouldn't, because he was on San Antonio.
He's got good skills.
He's a per 36 darling, and statisticians love him because of how much output he's putting out there when he actually does play.
Yeah.
But he doesn't the motor endurance, energy, stamina, whatever you just want to say, he doesn't have that.
Yeah. He can't get at shooters.
No,
so
he can't.
attack
He's
shooters
very
well.
slow. But when your team slows the game down and he's in the post, he's valuable.
He's got some talent.
He's valuable. He's a good third string center. He's
Is
like
he
the best.
7'3", 7'4"?
He's big. He's like 7'2". But
Yeah.
so things about some passers. James Harden. There's been multiple games. I remember there was one game last week. I forget who they're playing, but they try to ice pick and roll hard with him, doubling him, try pushing him to the sideline, and he had 3 plays in a row where he had an assist. First one was through the defender's legs on a dime bounce pass to Capella. The second one was through his own legs, behind the back own legs pass, and then the third one was behind the back around the defender to I think it was PJ Tucker in the corner who had 3. And it was just the level of difficulty of those 3 passes in ensuing possessions was one of the best passing displays that I've seen this season, if not in recent history. John Wall as a passer, neither one of you had John Wall on your list. And that surprised me because
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
You did?
I had John Wall.
I should have had John Wall. I just didn't.
John Wall.
I had John Wall second.
Oh.
You know what it is?
Chris Paul and John Wall.
I went through. I do a lot with box scores. And
Rewind
so
the
I'm going
tape.
through the box scores, and I'm picking the passes, and Wall's not playing right now, so his name didn't show up for me in the
Yeah,
box
that's
scores.
true.
So I missed him.
He's
When I-
perennially one of the assist leaders.
He is
and
one
he
of
does
the,
it in a flashy way.
He does it both styles, his dribble drive creation,
Yep.
and he is one of the elite pick and roll passers. Him and Marcin Gortat have this elite chemistry that not many other pick and roll combos have. And Rondo might be the best entry passer in the league. When a big man is post, whether he's fronted or whether he has the guy on his back, Rondo gets it to the perfect spot every single time. It's impeccable. And no matter how far away he is, whether he's on the opposite wing, he gets it to DeMarcus Cousins or Anthony Davis. The amount of alley-oops that Anthony Davis has out of the post up from Rajon Rondo outside the three-point line are very, very
And he's
impressive.
just started playing. I mean, so yeah, maybe that might have potential there.
No, I think that's a play.
He's a good ooper. He's also a good bounce passer.
Yes,
Rondo.
I agree with that. I'm excited for Milos to be healthy. He's supposed to come back this week. He could quickly rise up to a top 5 passer in the league. It's very exciting. I also want Jokic to recover. But these are the type of lists I love discussing this type of stuff. I think it's awesome. But what did you say? You had LeBron 3?
I had LeBron third.
What's holding him back to be number 1?
4.
What's holding him back?
Well,
You have Parker as your best passer in the league.
I put Parker and Paul. I tied them. I think Tony Parker's a great passer.
Okay.
I think he's a beautiful passer. I really like him a lot. I think I'm stuck where
Maybe
where
5
I
years
already
ago, I
explained
would've
myself.
had him
I'm
up
stuck
there.
where
Because of-
I like guys that make the play with a pass. LeBron is not making the play with a pass. I'm looking for guys that make to fit my category of best passes. They're making the play with the pass. LeBron's not making it with the pass the same way that Paul and Rondo and Parker do.
I don't know if that's justified, and I don't know if your concept of the play is what I'm thinking, but he makes offense with the pass, and he makes production with the pass, and he makes open abilities and opportunities for teammates that would otherwise not be able to sniff those opportunities.
I'll say it again, Shay. What it is to me is that he doesn't know where the ball's going with the pass before he gets it. He's thinking about
He's waiting for the defense to
he's
develop.
thinking about where he's going to go. You know, that's number one. That's his priority, which is fine. This is where the game is going. His priority is what I'm going to do with the ball. It's not when that ball hits my hands, it's going there. It's not there. It's
Right.
not
So
how
is that not attributing to his IQ as a player and a passer that he is waiting to accommodate towards what the defense responds to him when he does a dribble drive or when he draws defenders, and he doesn't know where he's going to pass it until the defense allows a certain pass, and that's when he releases
the
that
wow
pass.
factor,
Quick
and
decision.
I
It's a
don't
generational bias.
It is. I
don't think it is.
So I don't see the same
Absolutely.
wow factor in that where somebody else has got eyes in the back of his head and can see the whole court, seeing all 5 guys, and knows where everybody is, and they receive the ball immediately moves to where that next guy is. That's the type of passer that I'm.
So LeBron sees everyone on the court. He knows where everyone is at all times.
He does, but he's not. That's not his priority. To move the ball to the open man is not his priority. To move the ball with the pass is not his priority.
I think what he's saying
Priority
is
is to
if
score. His priority is
LeBron
to put the ball on the floor.
if
His
LeBron's
priority
not
is to
putting the ball on the
attack.
floor and
thing
making
with
people
Same thing with
react to
Westbrook.
him, then maybe people aren't opening up as well as.
But doesn't that mean he's a better passer? If you're able to create passing lanes because you're good at driving to the hoop, doesn't that mean you're a better passer?
No,
you know what I'm trying to say?
I think what he's trying to say is like Steve Nash.
Passing lanes is not.
That says something about your passing ability
no,
to be able
that's
to
your basketball IQ. That's not your
That's your passing IQ. The ability that you can create an opportunity to pass the ball means you're a good passer.
Execution of the pass is the pass.
But he's an A+ at that too.
I think what he's trying to say is like Tony Parker, when he drives, he's not demanding a double team. LeBron James always demands a double team. LeBron's always going to find somebody once people commit to him. Once multiple defenders commit to him. Maybe he's just not as wild by that.
I appreciate it in Sloan too that you can see the difference between Parker and Paul and Rondo and other guys. So
there's lots of different breeds of passers.
I do miss Steve Nash. That's one passer that I'll always miss, and I'm sure that's a guy
that's. What did you say to me about that? That it just isn't in the game no more. When I said I was relating a passer to Steve Nash last week, you said something to me as I was leaving about.
I forget.
Whatever.
I don't know. Do you have another list, or we want to spin it?
That's the only list that I made.
Do you want another list?
I think I did good on that. Give me the list.
We'll save some lists for
next week.
It's a long season.
I did. Mike said before the show started that he wanted me to say my list of most handsome and least handsome players in the league.
And I thought it was pretty cruel to do the least handsome because.
Why not? I mean, some people just.
I don't know. I mean, if a guy's deformed, are you going to call him the least handsome?
They can't.
You can be cruel.
I can be cruel.
Chances of us meeting them are.
Yeah. I can't find it, so we're not going to do it. Spin.
Okay. We'll have to save that.
We do it next week.
We'll have to save that petty list.
Oh, a tease.
The petty list will come soon. Oh, I love my little medal.
All right, the Minnesota Timberwolves. So their record would show that they are performing well. But if you actually watch their games, it's a lot of blundering play, a lot of coming down to the last couple possessions, a lot of overuse of their players. So I wanted to get your perspective on what, right now I think they're either at 4 or 5 or 6 in the conference. I wanted to get your perspective on how they're going to end the season. So right now they're 4, they're 16-11, and how they're going to perform down the stretch, and whether you think Tom Thibodeau's style as a coach in terms of heavy minutes for the starters, barely playing the bench role players, and in terms of his defensive intensity, whether it's a dying breed, a coaching breed, and just overall your perspective on the team.
There's going to be some infighting in that locker room.
Yes, of course.
Because I don't think he's the best coach for that team, not only because there's so much youth, and Butler's sort of a silent but almost like an aggressive leader at times, silently aggressive, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. I agree.
And also, I just don't think that a defensive-minded coach with an offensive-minded bunch of kids is going to work too well. And it's already starting to show. And it's not a fun team to watch. And you can already see that it's going to implode.
Yes.
Well, I agree to that to some extent, but I think the team has improved, and I think the team is better this year than it was last year.
I'm not saying much.
And I think Thibodeau is trying to win games, and his bench isn't that strong to begin with. And when he goes 8 deep, so I don't fault him for trying to win games. I think that's going to be the demand in that franchise right now. Is they need to make the playoffs. And maybe he's making a mistake, and maybe it's going to pay. But the guys are young. I mean, Wilt Chamberlain averaged 48.5 minutes a game for a season. More minutes in a game than there are minutes in a game.
I think the demand should be long-term improvement.
They can play minutes.
So let's think about this. In the 2011 Bulls, which is whatchamacallit, that's Tom's best team. That was Rose's MVP year. We think about some players on that roster. You got Ronnie Brewer, who at that time was supposedly on the come up. It was his 4th year, great defender, was going to be this long-term player. He fizzled out really quick, injuries. Luol Deng was in his 6th year there, fizzled out, injuries, overuse, over minute use. Joakim Noah, that was his 4th year in the league. You can see how that mileage and that minute input affected him. Derrick Rose, very obvious. 3 years, that weight on his shoulders of playing 38 minutes a game for those stretches. I don't know if
Shay, tell me, how did they do it 25 years ago? How did Wilt Chamberlain play 48.5?
Who cares?
They all did.
That's irrelevant.
What do you mean? You're saying guys they're not as good athletes now? They're not as strong, they're not as physical, they don't work out as much? What are you saying?
I'm
That
saying,
these guys
I'm saying,
can't play 40 minutes a night?
I'm saying that there's more health-centric.
Everybody played 40 minutes a night.
I don't care who played what minutes in 1970.
Why?
Because now it's proven that you should wane minutes down.
Why?
So
Because
players can have longer and more effective
they're better
careers.
conditioned now. They work out year round.
Yes,
They
but
got
why are they more conditioned? Why are they better conditioned? Because their minutes are reduced.
Trainer that lives with him right
Boston
now.
Celtics don't have a single player in the top 30
played 40 minutes a game. Magic Johnson played 40
because
minutes
don't care
a
about
game.
any of these
Kareem
players' minutes.
Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan.
Every single one of these players have reduced careers because of their minute load, put unnecessary miles on their legs, and their injuries race through the roof. Right now, the league is all about healthy
I'm
players,
not
reducing
thinking about how
injuries
good
and
a
all
player
that.
can be when he's 35.
It's because
I don't care how good a player is.
Okay, Derrick Rose is 30 years old.
Who is?
Derrick Rose, 30 years old.
When you McNamara's get going, I can't get in. It's because they're all weight training. It's this proclivity to always get in the weight room and try to be the strongest player as opposed to being the most, cardio fit player. I don't think that they have the endurance, and I think that.
So they need Tom Brady.
I think this is translated to the NFL as well. I think you're seeing the more superstars in the NFL are getting injured as well because they all, at a young age, trying to hit the weight room so much more than they ever did 30 years ago or 20 years ago. And I think that's why their careers are not made for practicing more. They're not made for back-to-backs. They're not made for excessive defensive practices.
If you're just looking at, unless you're LeBron, unless you're a superhuman cyborg who plays the most
can't Rose be an exception just like LeBron?
No, we can't.
Why?
Because look at his career. Look at where he is right now.
Well, look at LeBron.
Yes.
LeBron's in the best shape of his life right now.
Because he's an argument for the best player of all time. That's why he's that.
Derrick Rose was on his way.
But he isn't because he couldn't stop. Okay, so unless you're LeBron James, your minute total should not be in the top of the league if you're a starter like that. The Celtics don't have a player in the top 30 in minutes played per game in this season. And the Timberwolves have 4 or 5 players in the top 7.
Does any of them play 40 minutes a game? No.
Who?
The Timberwolves. There's not one guy that averages 40. They
all
average 38.
What? You're talking about the difference between 38 and 40 minutes a game? Are you serious? That's still top 5 minute output in the league.
I'm saying that's not a lot of minutes. That means they get 2 5-minute rests each
38
half.
minutes is not a lot of minutes.
It is in your mind, but in my mind it's not. And 36 minutes.
That's 2 minutes out of every 12-minute quarter.
If you watch the Timberwolves games, those players are exhausted at the end of the games. Karl Towns cannot handle that load. Jimmy Butler can hand. Jeff T cannot handle that load. Taj Gibson cannot handle that load. Andrew Wiggins absolutely cannot.
Because they're
handle
using
that
more
output.
of the floor now too.
And
It's
so
it's a lot more of a run and gun game.
How many minutes a game is Andrew Wiggins?
Below
playing?
35.
Below 35. The guy's getting 13 minutes off a game. It means he comes out in the first quarter, he sits out for 7 minutes, then he comes back in, and he does that in the second half, and he can't withstand that.
Your argument doesn't make any sense. It's been proven that by literally.
My argument makes sense.
No, by doctors and
35
team
minutes
trainers.
is not too much to play.
No, that's what I just said. You can play 35 minutes every once in a while, but these players are playing 38, 39, and they're getting run into the ground, and injuries are occurring. And if you
should not run you into the ground.
I think this is another generational issue.
It's not generational. If you look at
what I'm saying,
team doctors, everyone says that you should not be playing this many minutes a game for this long of a season.
No, what I'm saying is Uncle Mike wants them to be playing like crazy minutes, like maybe they did in the 90s.
Yes,
but you also had slow down offenses. You had half-court post-ups.
Stars rotation.
Where you're not running back and forth. You're using all of the shot clock.
With weaker players, with slower players.
I'm agreeing with you, and you're still flipping out.
No, because I'm heated.
You're real fired up.
But Shay, here's me heated. But I see like a normal progression for any star player to come out late in the first quarter and have a rest. Go back in the second quarter and play it out, and do that every single game. Why not?
Because they're not good enough.
You're saying, but they all do that. Kyrie comes out late in the first quarter.
Kyrie plays 30 minutes a game.
I understand that, but he could easily play another 2 minutes each half, and it isn't going to kill him.
But do you know that? What his production might not dip?
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with playing 30, 32 minutes. I'm just saying it's not impossible to play 36, 37 minutes a game.
It is if you're trying to stay healthy and the coach is forcing you to do that every single game for 82 games. If he expects these players, come playoff time, to be putting an all-out effort and to have the stamina to compete in the fourth quarter, 2 minutes left in a playoff game 7 where they've been playing 39 minutes for 82 games, they're wrong.
Oh,
they're wrong.
Guys. They only get 10 minutes off a game. Oh, my God. I can't get it. But anyways, with Thibodeau and Butler.
I think he should be on the hot seat. He's not, though. He should be.
He's 15-11, and they have improved. And I see Butler and him bringing an environment to that team that's going to take a while to evolve. Let's face it, Towns is not a good defender, and he's had to be brought along. They seem to be listening to Butler as a leader. I don't know. I think Thibodeau is the type of coach that's got a shelf life. There's no doubt about that. Bill Fitch, that coach of Celtics once, I used to call him Captain Video. He had a shelf. He's a great coach.
Yeah, I don't know how many games. I don't know how many wins he's responsible for. You know, I feel like they could win 16 games without him.
That's very true.
You know?
That's what I think as well. I agree 100%. No, it's interesting. I think that his effectiveness.
They'll eventually tune him out.
He's one of those few. He's
they
one
might
of
have already.
He's one of the few coaches in the league that have the coach and GM role, and I think that he's succeeded more at the GM.
Wiggins is playing fairly well. He's playing pretty well.
And defensively, he's grown, and he's improved as a defender. And you could say that probably is more so because Jimmy Butler's there than because Tom Thibodeau's there. Because tools and tendencies that he's showing this year are something that he could be showing last year, not necessarily something that he developed because of Tibbs. It's more so now that he's around a defensive stalwart like Butler that's constantly drilling into him, you see them rising out of the woodworks more often. So I think that if they underperform late in the season, which I think they are bound to do, I think that there's an injury in the books for one of their big 3 players, and I think that something is going to hit a wall. These players aren't going to be able to perform late in the clutch. You can say what you will, whether or not.
So tonight's game, is Towns, Wiggins, and Butler playing tonight? Yes. Is Kyrie playing tonight?
No.
Oh. Wow.
He's hurt.
He plays, 30 minutes a game, and he's hurt.
Oh, we're playing the Bulls. It's arresting. He could play. Yeah. If we were playing the Spurs, he could play.
So come on. Guys are getting hurt when they're playing 30 minutes. They're getting hurt when they're playing 37 minutes.
Yes, but there's a difference between
criteria.
Yes, there is.
When Towns goes down, it's going to be because he's playing 35 minutes a game.
Yes.
But when Kyrie goes down, it's got nothing to do. He's not preserving himself with
No, more often than not, the injuries that happen to players like Kyrie, this is a precautionary sitting. When you see the injury that happened to Teague, you could say it's because doctors probably attribute to an overusage. So there's a difference in a separation of injuries.
I know that school of thought is happening and that everybody's talking about it, but I'm not.
I think
really,
Tibbs.
I'm not buying
I think coaching has passed Tibbs by. That's what I want to say.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
All right.
All right.
If they keep winning games, you're going to have to deal with it.
I think that's just talent based, though. Don't you?
Yeah, there's young talent that has to develop and has to evolve, and I think Teague and Butler have had good.
All right, we got the Rockets and the Pacers. Which one do you want to talk about?
Stop spitting.
Rockets or the Pacers?
Pacers. Well,
Pacers.
I just want to talk about Victor Oladipo.
He had 47.
Yeah,
he's amazing.
You were down on him.
Yeah.
A little bit.
You were saying that this would not last, and it's only getting better. He's definitely an all-star right now.
Definitely an all-star.
He might be in the MVP conversation.
No.
Maybe not.
Well, I mean, I think Indiana is still performing above their where they're going to be finishing the season, but they're in terms of the beginning of season and what you were judging for what's real and what's not real on the scale of Orlando, Detroit, Indiana. Indiana's in the middle. Orlando was
real, and he's something they can build around now. I think, and he's doing such amazing things. He's shooting from 25 feet out, and then they're double teaming him. He's splitting a double team, and then wrapping around for a great pass.
It's really interesting watching him because
teardrops.
Right. If you remove,
it's fun to watch.
If you removed his sophomore season and then his season with OKC, and you just placed this season in his second year, you would say that this is a future All-NBA perennial player. And it makes sense because when he came out of Indiana in his first year on Orlando, you saw all of the projections and what all the critics and everyone was saying that he was going to be and how he was going to turn out.
And they tried to make him a point guard, which was a mistake.
Right. So Orlando botched his situation as they botched several others. You can name countless players, Mo Harkless, Tobias Harris, as many players as you wanted that they just screwed up because they're kind of an abominable organization. And then he went to OKC, where that's a tough place to succeed if you want to be a high-usage player because you're next to the highest usage player of all time.
Shadowed, if you will.
Right. And so I think him moving now to Indiana isn't so saying that I don't think that's a slight on Russell Westbrook. I think it's more so pointing strong image on the situation that he's in, that this is a perfect scenario for him to succeed and his improvement in the offseason, because obviously he got better. This isn't what the player he was last year. He's showing things that he wasn't even capable of doing last year. He obviously got better, but in addition to that, this new role it is a new role. That's why he's succeeding. But because of that new role, that's allowing him to develop into this all-star player that we're seeing. And I agree. I think he looks like he's going to be an all-star player. And it could just because he had the ability to.
Absolutely.
And if he wasn't traded to a perfect scenario for him like this, we may never have seen this Oladipo. And I'm happy about it. He's an exciting player to watch.
I think their downfall is it's McMillan's the coach, right?
He's a bad coach.
I think he's a 500 coach, and I think if they still had Fogle and Bird in the organization, you might see a future for this team. They got a nice bench. They got Stevenson and Sabonis coming off the bench, both game in and game out. You see some of the moves that Stevenson's throwing out there, that dance he does in that world.
I love Lance
Then the celebration with the, it's really
great.
weird,
He's
but
great.
it's pretty
I think
cool.
he's one of our guilty pleasures.
He's great.
It's one of our guilty pleasures.
But
Anyways, I think McMillan's a downfall, and he didn't do it in Portland, and I don't think Indiana's got.
Well, his pace, it's so unusual because perennially when he's a coach, the team that he heads is such a slow-paced team, and their identity is really unusual. But right now, Indiana has the 10th highest pace in the league, so it's pretty interesting to think about.
He seems like a slow-moving guy in general. Like it's not really ticking that fast.
Yeah.
All right. Miles Turner has been kind of underperforming.
He had 20 the other night, and that's the first one time I saw him. Yes, he has. Since the injury.
I mean, coming into the year, we were expecting him to be the best player.
But then the injury, whatever happened with that, but seeing him get 20 the other night, and looks like he may be taking a step back.
I mean, I had him as the all-star, maybe potential most improved candidate, but it's clearly Oladipo that is both of those, which would be interesting. But let's spin the wheel again.
One more time.
And then we'll go to the bracket, not the bracket, although I want
medal
to
round.
the bracket.
Okafor.
I'm up to this one.
Okay, so Jahlil Okafor finally got shipped out of Philadelphia. He got traded to the Brooklyn Nets for a second-round pick. Nick Stauskas and a draft choice was paired with Okafor in
Booker.
For Booker. That was bobbled, but whatever.
Blockbuster.
The 76ers got Trevor Booker, who I think is going to be a great backup center for them.
Serviceable.
Yeah. And no, he went to the Philadelphia 76ers.
Who did?
Booker.
Why are we talking about Booker? That's the worst part of the trade.
That's not the worst part.
He's the best part of the trade.
He's the worst part of the trade.
He's the best asset in that trade.
He's the worst.
Oh my God, you're out of your mind.
I am not out of my mind.
As a bench
and
player,
I have people that are supporting me in this. So
as a bench contributor who's going to be able to fill in as a starter when Embiid
Why
sits.
are you talking about him? He's not going to have the same impact that Okafor's going to have on the Nets.
Yeah, he will.
No way.
Because he's going to be impacting a bench role on a playoff team where
they don't need that. They already had it.
Okafor is irrelevant. No, because Amir Johnson can't contribute to the offensive end.
And they got Redick.
Booker's a great.
Redick, what? How irrelevant is Redick's contribution to Booker's?
Because he's a veteran, and you're looking for
You're
stability.
adding another awesome veteran for this locker room. But Trevor Booker is one of the best veterans, bench veterans in the league.
If Joel Embiid is out, Booker is not going to make any difference at all.
Okay, but
and he's missed 2 games in a
He's
row now.
Booker's a reputable offensive option to replace the production that Embiid has if Embiid is on the bench or Embiid is out.
He's 30 years old. The Nets got younger. The Nets are a younger team. The Nets are playing well. They're well coached. Okafor is 21 years old. He averaged 17.5 point games. He's in his first year.
So you're saying it's a loss for Philly? This trade is a loss for Philly?
Yes.
Okay, so I think
I'm saying I think it's a win-win.
Okay,
I think it's a win-win.
Win-win.
But I think the biggest win is the Nets, and that team right now
I'm excited
I think
for
is
Okafor.
poised to be better. Now Eric Spoelstra, heard what he has had to say
about the trade.
He thinks the league is. Everybody's saying that Okafor being a low post player is not going to work in this type of league. Spoelstra and Tommy Heinsohn are both saying that Okafor is good enough in a low post that he's going to be an asset in the sense that he's going to draw double teams and open up the perimeter. And they're both saying that's going to happen.
We'll see if he can be efficient.
He's a good player waiting to happen.
He wasn't very efficient last year.
They should have found minutes for him, especially with Embiid's history. They never should have put Nerlens Noel ahead of Okafor.
Okafor was a disgruntled player that they had to ship out.
He's disgruntled because he wouldn't you be disgruntled if you don't get that? You're 21 years old. You average 17.5 points a game when you were 18 and 19.
Well, I think a lot of the time
parallel their identity.
The problem was a lot of the time he was running with Nerlens in the second shift or whatever.
They were trying to play them together. They had the
because he did not play well with Embiid. He's
never going to play well with Embiid.
Embiid loves him as a person, but they didn't play well together.
You'd like to have him right now with Embiid sitting out games.
But here's the problem with Okafor as a low post player. He wasn't that efficient last year, and his assist
he didn't play much
rate is terrible. He gets like 2 assists every 100 plays or something.
Yeah, no, that's like.
And how can you be a low post player if you talk about he demands a double team, and then he can't get it to somebody. He can't pass.
I think he's a reputable
That's
enough
not good.
option in terms of his low post arsenal.
21
where
years
he's 21
old.
years old, and I think he has a lot of strong years ahead of him. Whether or not the Nets are going to be able to retain him and keep him long term is another argument. But I think he is going to have an opportunity.
It's a good
to
fresh
succeed
start
here.
for
Yes,
him.
he's
Well,
got
I
an
think
opportunity to
Stauskas
succeed. He's
fits
going to
that team, too, and
He's
I
going to get
think
30 plus
Stauskas-
minutes. He does. I agree.
He's
because
a
he cares more.
three-point shooter who's playing 7 minutes a game with Philly. There wasn't any room with him on Philly.
No, there
What's
wasn't.
going on? Obviously, Philly has made commitments and for the right reasons to the players they have, but you can't say these guys are bad players because Philly wasn't playing them. That's not why Philly wasn't
No, the
playing
jury's
them.
still
I
out
think
on Okafor. I like
short
Okafor.
term, I
he's gonna be
think
great.
the Nets got worse, which is probably good for the Cavaliers and maybe not so good for the Celtics. But I think long term, it's going to be a good trade. They're starting Tyler Zeller at center.
Exactly.
Down in Brooklyn.
Okafor's
That's not good.
He's going to get 30 plus minutes a game.
I like Tyler Zeller. You guys don't.
I
but
do
he's
not like him
but,
at all.
I can see.
He's been good this year.
He's okay.
8-5, which is pretty much what he
He's
is.
definitely a bench player.
I don't think it's.
It should not be a
I
starter.
hope Okafor gets a shot there, and I like the coach. I think
definitely
he's
will.
done
I
a real
like
nice job with
Atkinson a
him.
lot. I really like him.
I mean, they've got injuries. They got guys that are out, but he's got a young team, boy. He's got a nice young
I think that's a
team.
B- trade for Brooklyn, especially since they got a pick. They probably did that trade just so
why
they
wouldn't
could
you
get a
trade-
pick.
Everyone's
But
saying
I,
that.
but I think it's a
But
C+
Booker, they
trade
don't
for
need
Philly.
A veteran like Booker. That's not where they're at.
It's interesting to think about. In
It's an insurance
in
policy.
this 3-year stretch where they traded away their future to the Boston Celtics and one of the biggest rip-offs in the league with a trade, they've now brought in a number 3 overall pick and number 2 overall pick. And they've made up for the losses that they had over that time in
More or
some
less.
sense. So
Yeah.
I think they're doing a great job. I like what the Nets are doing. I like their
Yeah.
future outlook. They have an identity.
But that may have
They
been
have
the
a
worst
good
trade
coach.
in history.
So what?
And it's certainly
They're doing their best to- they're doing their best to dig themselves out of the hole.
I know, but and I guess it
It's
taught
funny-
a lesson to the rest of the league to never give away your future like that.
It's funny what we're
Especially
seeing
when
now
else
is the NBA offseason has become such a spectacle that during the season now there aren't that many trades, and now we get so excited about this, sort of basement trade. It's like this isn't that.
Yeah, I'm not that excited about it, but I just I
excited
can see the upside of Brooklyn.
I got Okafor in my dynasty league. I'm hype about it.
I mean, the fact of the matter is we just get excited about any trade
That's
now
true, I like
because
trades.
there aren't that many
Well, there
trades.
could be some coming, with before the trade
I hope
deadline. There's some big guys out there. The names are floating around. I don't know what the Celtics.
Well, we might not. The
Jordan Jordan's
Celtics
good
might not
trade.
be using the injury exception because it looks like Gordon Hayward is a few
No,
days away from
that's not
out of his
true.
walking
That's
boot.
not. He's
2
a
weeks
long
from
way
the walking
away.
boot, but he's not
2 weeks
ready.
away.
He's a long way away.
But he could come back by what, May?
Still
They're
wears a brace.
just
He's
keeping
not-
that alive, so mentally.
He's not coming back at all this year?
They want him to mentally feel strong all the time, so they're not taking that dream away from him.
Right.
But realistically, that ain't happening.
That's exactly it. That's
He's got
exactly
5 more steps to go after that walking boot comes up before he's doing
maybe
anything.
10 steps. All right, so we're going to jump to medals, and then I want to talk about an idea that me and Logan and Biddies thought of last night. So tonight we got the Pelicans at Houston.
Houston.
Yeah, Houston. Number 5 defense and number 2 offense.
Yeah, Houston's great.
Who would have thought they would be number 5 defense?
I thought they were going to be better, but not that good. Portland at Golden State. I picked
Do we
Portland.
call Harden a decent defensive player now?
Harden? Nah.
No. So he's still on. Who was that one?
He's not a bad team.
Say that
defender.
team, those
Portland at Golden State.
Golden State.
Golden State, although Dame
their guys
Dog is
out,
playing
I
well.
benched Lillard in my fantasy league when he had 9.
Did you see
three-pointers.
what Golden State
God,
last
he
week?
went off.
Golden State last week started a team where the smallest guy was 6'7".
When they started Jordan Bell?
They started Livingston at that point.
You see
Why,
that?
Smallest guy,
Why would
6'7".
Dame Dog ever be on your bench?
I just forgot to put him in my lineup. It was the first time maybe ever in fantasy
That's
basketball history.
terrible.
Denver at Detroit. I don't know whether Jokic will be back.
Sorry about
Detroit.
your fantasy football loss, by the way. That's
okay. What?
Detroit.
Yeah.
And it looks like they've got the nemesis for Kyrie with Bradley. Bradley did a nice job on him yesterday.
He's always been that.
I'll go with Detroit
Yeah,
as well.
but that'll bode tough for the Celtics.
Lakers at New York.
Knicks. See where Frankie played.
He looks good.
And Jack played.
New York
got
at
19 points in 14 minutes. Jared Jack did, and then Frankie Cigarettes played 29
Matt
minutes.
reminds me every single time Jared Jack is on the TV that he played against him.
Oh,
Philly
yeah.
at Minnesota.
I think it's a great thing. Minnesota. Phil, I don't know whether Embiid's playing yet. Is he?
Yeah, he had like back soreness. He'll play.
Well, he's 2 games in a row. That's
I'll go-
The last game was rest.
I'll go Philly on this one.
OKC at Indiana.
Indiana.
Depot.
Wow, you guys like Indy. I picked OKC. Denver at Boston.
Boston.
Yeah, Boston as well.
Fun game, though.
We didn't talk about that San Antonio game.
No, we
Jeez.
did not.
Wow.
Milwaukee
game.
at Pelicans.
Pelicans.
I'll go Milwaukee, just
Like
to be an
Milwaukee.
oppositionist.
OKC at Philly.
He should be back by then. I'll pick Philly.
I'll go OKC on that one.
Utah at Boston.
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 Pelicans at
Another
Denver.
nice game. I'll look forward to that one, too. Pelicans at
Denver.
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 The Spurs at Houston. Kawhi is playing tomorrow.
That's what they always say.
He's playing tomorrow.
I know. That's what
You're
it's
keeping
at.
your picks a mystery, huh?
I'm going with Houston.
I'm sorry, I picked.
I love how San Antonio's playing, but I'm going with Houston.
Houston, when is Kawhi going to play?
He said tomorrow.
Playing
So
tomorrow.
but they
For
said
sure?
that. They've been saying that.
They've been
pushing
saying
that.
tomorrow for weeks.
They haven't
Yeah,
been
they
saying
have.
tomorrow for weeks. They've been saying we don't know for
We've
weeks.
been saying
and then
maybe
they said-
tomorrow
And then
for
they said
weeks.
maybe he'll play on Saturday, and then they're going to say he's going to play
Phantom
tomorrow.
injuries.
Milwaukee at Houston the day after that, back to back.
Who's going back to back? Houston.
Houston plays the Spurs on Friday.
I'll
and
go
then
with
Milwaukee on
I'll go with
Saturday.
Houston.
I really can't pick against Houston. It's
Cleveland
like
at
Mike with
Washington
Boston.
to end it out.
I'll go with Washington. Is Wall coming back?
Eventually. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll go
Boy,
Cleveland.
Beal's up and down, huh?
Yeah,
51 one game and 3 for 27 the next. Hey, before we sign off, I got to give you credit on Chris Dunn. He had a great week last week. I'm looking forward.
He's great. He's fun to watch.
I'm looking forward to it. He had 27 shots in one game, 24 in the other.
not an
I'm still
offensive player.
reserving. I'm going to see more of him. I've seen him play a lot, and I haven't.
Do you see
changed.
what I'm saying about potential Marcus Smart? That ability as a prick and roll creator.
I'm going to watch it tonight. Let's watch it. But I'm giving you some credit, and I'm also giving Sloan credit on Jeff Green because Jeff Green has played well off the
Tax
bench for
hoops.
Cleveland.
Tax hoops.
He had
All right.
17 and 13
Jeff
last
Green's like
week.
this.
All right, so I wanna talk about this idea that I thought of before we signed off. Last night, Logan was over, my brother was over watching some games. We had biddies on the speakerphone, and we came up with an idea to replace the All-Star game. So the All-Star game is dying, and we need to cut it out. So I found an idea that would also allow the NBA to cut the NBA season 4 or 5 games shorter. So
That's so the guys because they're playing so many minutes.
So you start the All-Star week a week earlier, and you have it be a 2-weekend event, and it's a 3-on-3
Round
bracket tournament.
I brought this up before.
You
with,
said that.
I did.
You said that, and
I thought it would work.
but I didn't know.
How do you assemble the teams?
So the teams are assembled by age. So you have the best 3 players for each age, and then they're seeded
The
by
3 best
voting.
19-year-olds?
Jason Tatum.
Booker. No, Booker's not
Booker's
19 no
21.
more.
Where's my list? Where's the list? But so basically, you seed it by
3
age.
best
So
21,
the
all the way
three
up to
best-
the all the way up. Manu's not going to have any teammates.
Yes, he is. He's going to have.
There's more 40s than
Manu is going to have Dirk and Vince Carter on his team. So the 19-year-olds are Jason Tatum, Frank, and Malik Monk. But every year it would be different, and then you seed them depending on how many votes they get. So the number 1 overall seed would be LeBron, Chris Paul, and Marc Gasol.
By how many votes the fans give them?
Yeah, you vote the same way, and maybe you also include some kind of voting with Sports Illustrated's top 100 or the ESPN's NBA rank. You can mold together multiple voting, just kind of.
So how does
substances.
the NBA make up for the millions of dollars it loses with the 4 games that are gone?
What for?
Well, when they don't play as many games, all the teams
by advertising and sponsoring the event in multiple different ways. So the other top seeds would be like Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Russell Westbrook. That adds some interesting chemistry issues.
Could we do it on
the
All-Star
29-year-olds.
weekend? Just do it the regular weekend?
No, so you start the tournament and you do the first day,
I like
knock
this
it down,
idea.
knock it down. On the first Saturday, you play two regions of the bracket, narrow it down to 2 Final Four teams, and then the Sunday you do the same on the opposite side, and then you have a week off, and then on Friday night you still do the rookie-sophomore game, and then on Saturday night you still do the dunk contest, 3-point contest, whatever, and then on Sunday night you just have a Final Four and then a championship game
So
following.
if you have 25-year-olds, how do you divide them up into
3?
different teams? Yeah.
The voting.
The voting sorts them
Yeah,
out.
so the top three will probably be Giannis, Embiid, and Clint Capella, and that's the team that you're going to have. That's a 3-on-3 team that you have, and it's all voting based. And these teams go up one another. You could do different sponsorships. You could even kind of envelop it somehow with the big 3. I know there would be licensing issues with Fox Sports and with ESPN and the Turner.
The only
Sports
thing I don't
agreement,
like
but-
about that is I think if you make it the feature, that the half court is going to people aren't going to like half court.
half court. Well,
You don't have the run.
I just think it's going to be more competitive because
It will be more
what
competitive.
we're seeing
I can see
with
it
the
being an
actual
event,
All-Star game. Yeah,
but I can't
exactly.
see it being the event.
I think it should replace it. I think
It's good.
better.
It's a good idea, good thing. I hope they're thinking in that and trying to change things because if this year goes
innovative.
south, shame on them. I mean, happened once. They got to correct this now.
I think it would be fun. Imagine
It would be fun.
in the play-in
It'd
games.
be a lot of fun.
In the play-in games, you got the 19-year-olds versus the 35-year-old. So you got Tatum, Ntilikina, Malik Monk versus Dwayne Wade, Tony Parker, and Tyson Chandler or something like that, you know?
Couldn't we have the best-looking guys play the worst-looking guys? And
We could, but
Circle back to
the
that.
best passers play the best shooters?
But Costa Koufis would really struggle in that game. Worst looking player in the league right there. All right, thank you for joining us. Until next time, signing off, My Wheelhouse. Sideways.